committee of the whole meeting to order. It is Monday, October 14th, 2024. Council, they do, okay, here we go. Councilors, have you had to look at a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? I know you just got it, but they were previously emailed out to you. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're gonna table approval of the minutes until the end of the meeting. Yeah, they are pretty long. Next is consideration of the consent agenda. Councilors, do you have any items you'd like to place on consent? Councilor Abbott.
For consent, I would like to place on page 1, item 4 and 5. On page 2, items 6, 7, and 8. On page 3, items 9, 10, and 11, but I had a question about 10.
Okay.
Is it really $250 for all that?
Yeah, we're just supporting them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a small
I
donation.
thought maybe it was a typo. So 9, 10, and 11 on page 3. Then on page 4, item 13. On page 5, items 14, 15, and 16. On page 6, nothing. On page 7, item 19 and 21. On page 8, items 22, 22 and 24. On page 9, items 25 and 26. On page 10, item 27. I don't have any more pages, but I have more items.
Yeah.
So on, I guess what would be page 11
Oh, here it is, right
is item, thank you, item 30.
Okay. And then we have some additional items that were emailed to us. It's actually from District 2, District
Item
3, and District 6.
yeah, on page 12, item 32, 33, 34, and that's all.
That's all.
Item 13 only has adjournment. Maybe we could go straight there.
Maybe one day. Madam Pro Tem, do you have any items?
I'm in agreement with those items.
Okay. Jeff, you had some corrections you wanted to make?
Yes, 2 of your items on consent. Item 13, there's a correction. It is listed as discretionary funding for District 8, and it should be listed as community development. And the GL code is 031 202 1500 15,005 15,031, acronym UDAG, UDAG.
It's community.
And item 21, The amount that is before you is $9,500. That amount should be reduced to a total of $4,000. And each respective counselor is contributing $1,000 each, which brings the new total to $4,000. That concludes the corrections, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And that was item 21?
Yes,
And each council district is $1,000?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So the items for consent are items 4 and 5 on page 1, items 6, 7, and 8 on page 2, items 9, 10, 11 on page 3, item 13 on page 4, items 14, 15, and 16 on page 5. No items on page 6. Items 19 and 21 on page 7 with those corrections from Jeff. Items 22, 23, and 24 on page 8. Items 25 and 26 on page 9. Item 27 on page 10. And item 30 on page 11. And then finally, items 32, 33, and 34 on page 12. Okay. Is there a motion and a second?
I move approval of the agenda,
Second.
consent agenda.
All in favor say aye. Aye. The consent agenda passes. If your items are placed on consent, you can enjoy this lovely afternoon. Otherwise, our first item, I believe is item number 12. Is that 12? Yeah, item number 12. And this is with an agreement with the Alabama Schools Athletic Association, under which AHSAA shall plan, implement, and host its regional cheerleading competition at the Birmingham Crossplex and related activities in the Bill Harris Arena in Birmingham for 2 days, beginning during the second week of November each year, beginning November 2024 through November 2026. They will create and foster community pride. It's set to bring jobs and significant economic benefit. In accordance with Section 772, the city will contribute up to $15,000 in financial incentives.
Move the item.
Second.
Hey, good afternoon.
Christie,
You have to turn on the
hit the
microphone.
right button.
Yeah, perfect. Can you tell us your name and we know who
Hi,
you're with?
my name is Christy Mixon, and I serve as the interim director at the Birmingham Crossplex.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Tara Cobb. I am the event manager over there at the Bill Harris Arena at the Birmingham Crossplex.
Okay, is there anything else we need to know about this event?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Counselor Abbott?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, how is this event going to create jobs?
So for events, we have our internal staff that will be there, 23, but we bring in an additional 40 external staff to assist hosts. It's a combination of City of Birmingham employees and part-time event workers.
Okay, so these are temps
Yes, ma'am.
and city
City of Birmingham
employees?
employees and part-time workers.
Okay. So how many of these 40 temporary people are city employees, I assume brought from other departments? Maybe Mr. Mitchell could explain.
Yeah, they're various, they come from, Ms. Mixon can't answer this, but they come from the various departments, from finance and park and rec and, other than Botwell, that when we need different assistance for different type of events, they come in and they get event pay to work different types of events, but she can elaborate more.
Okay, so they take a day off from work and then they get paid for
Correct.
the event?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was wondering how something temporary would create jobs, but I got it now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Pro Tem?
No question.
Okay, but, Mr. President, do you have any, okay. Well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye, the item passes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next item is item number 17. This is an agreement between the city and Slade Land Use, Environmental, and Transportation Planning, under which Slade will undertake a project to redevelop, rehabilitate, and convert the interior, exterior, and surrounding grounds of the property located at 1616 7th Avenue North, 35203, to use as its primary office with an estimated investment of approximately $2.6 million for capital improvements and the creation/retention of 7 full-time jobs. The city has agreed to make the property available at a use value of $60,000.
Second.
Okay. Good afternoon. Oh. Okay.
My name is Janice James Dothert. I serve as real estate manager in the Department of Innovation and Economic Opportunity. I have with me today Ms. Latrice Slade. We're asking your support with the sale of the property at the $60,000. The building is, has been vacant for a very long time, and it has a lot of work to be done. And then, she's done already started doing little studies to see what it was gonna take for her to, repurpose that building. And I think it's gonna come to a little over $2 million.
Can you speak into the microphone a little closer?
I don't think it's on. Just press the button.
It's
on
not
the right.
on.
You see it? No, it's down at the bottom.
Just talk loud. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Now I'm talking too loud. Okay.
So, Miss Alicia? Latrice, sorry, Miss Latrice. Can you tell us about some of those studies you've done and any other additional information we need to know?
Yes, I've done the asbestos-led environmental phase 1 assessment so far. And I have discovered that there is asbestos present and a little lead.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, Madam Pro Tem, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. I send the microphones today. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do want to ask, one of the highlights of what you'll be offering is bringing STEM to small businesses. Tell me a little bit about that and how that would work.
Yes, ma'am. I have been in the STEM area for over 18 years now, and I'm very passionate about it. I see that there's a need in Birmingham for office space for STEM companies to be able to grow their businesses. And so I'm hoping that we'll also be able to do training there as well, not just for the tenants, but also people in the community who would like to rent out the space.
Okay. And this would open up doors. I know some of the work that you do on your own. And are you hoping then this will help open up some of those doors in the same way, as far as I know you deal with construction sites and things like that?
Yes, so what I plan on doing, and for years I've done some volunteering work with Birmingham City Schools. I would like to be able to expose students to STEM careers as well, being able to see what we're doing in the facility. I also like to be able to allow smaller businesses who would like an opportunity to have access to lab equipment to be able to house their business there as well. My business is a general contracting firm, but under that umbrella, we perform construction material testing, geotechnical engineering, environmental services, urban planning. And so the environmental work, it was done by my firm, InCon.
Perfect. Thank you. Those are my only questions. Thanks.
Okay, Counselor Abbott?
Hi there.
Hello.
You know, if you stick around long enough, you know people before they even got started.
Yes,
And
ma'am,
here
you know me.
are 23 years later. It's very impressive. But what I wanted to ask was, is this part of the city center master plan area?
I'm not sure if it's part of the city center master. It is. It is.
Okay, and is this, what was scheduled to be here in the master plan?
There was no specified use and the master plan on that area.
That area didn't have it, because I know there was housing with retail scheduled for part of the property over there. So do we have any planning people around here? I saw some out in the hall.
That particular site did not have housing associated with it, but to your point, to verify all of the uses in that defined area, we would defer to planning. But that particular site did not have a housing component. It was, as I recall from the study, that specific business uses were being targeted This would be wet lab space, which there is a deficit of in the city and would, as I understand the ordinance, would be an allowable use.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know because, you know, we create these plans and then obviously we forget about them. And if a new administration comes in, they don't even know there's a plan sometimes. I'm not saying that that's true here, but we do have a plan. It'd be nice if we followed some of our plans or looked at them every once in a while. But this sounds like a good use. And it sounds like it has been thoroughly thought out, which I would have expected. So, I don't think I have any more plans. I was really concerned about our master plan and how this fits into the master plan. Since y'all don't know how it fits in exactly, I guess maybe by the time it hits the council, y'all will know.
We can have that, but yes, it's still zoned, it's for commercial use. Right now.
Well, yeah, but the city
No
center
housing.
master plan is not all commercial use.
No, I mean, that area is still commercial
Yeah,
use.
so, anyway,
Okay.
the master plan is for the future. And what's existing now, well, obviously, it's been lying fallow for quite a while.
Well, yes, and I would like to say that Ms. Slade is one of the companies that's actually graduated out of Innovation Depot and keeping her business here in the city and actually in the inner city. So I thought that's a great thing. That's what we want businesses as they graduate to stay in the city.
I think that's excellent also, and she also was an excellent member of our planning commission
Yes.
for several years. So, thank you, those are all my questions.
Okay, Mr. President?
Yeah, I just had a question about what the building was previously and how the city came to be in possession of it.
Well, the city is on it for way before my time. I can do some research and find out how we came in possession of that building. But we've used it, and then now the building is in disrepair and there's no use for it. I think PEP used it for a little while.
Okay, and we still own the building next door, right?
Yes, that's
the bank?
Youth Service, Division of Youth Services is next door.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. And what kind of organizations or scientists will be are you looking to target?
I'm targeting small businesses. What will differentiate my business from some other lab spaces in the city is targeting small businesses who would like to scale their business. So it will be more like an incubator type facility. I find that in Birmingham that there's a gap for the have and have-nots. And so I want to make sure that this is a space for everyone to be included.
Yeah, I love that. What's the timeline for?
It's going to move pretty rapidly. So I've been working on this project for a year now, pulling this together.
Okay.
And so I have my financing lined up. And so as soon as I get bids in, then I can secure the financing and then move forward. So it'll go pretty fast.
So like a year?
I've already done the due diligence. I've been doing that myself in kind.
Okay.
The first phase will be in 12 months.
Okay, perfect. And thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Yes, Council Abbott.
One more question. I was just reading this little tiny print that I'm having a hard time seeing, but it talks about on the first page, human rights artwork of scientists, engineers, contractors, and entrepreneurs. And I wondered if you could tell us what that is.
Well, it's just a part of who I am. My mother was an art teacher, and so this building is located very close to the Civil Rights District. With my background in construction, I want to make sure that the way the interior design, it has an art element to it that commemorates civil rights, human rights, and the scientists and general contractors and things like that. So that's what that means.
Okay, that'll be interesting to see. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. That item passes. Thank you. Next item is item number 18.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to make sure y'all don't forget about the city center master plan and telling us where this fits in as soon as you find out.
Perfect. Item 18, this is a software master license agreement between the City of Birmingham and Mantisa, under which they shall provide software products, RMS/Desktop Archive Manager, RMS Spool Light, and RMS Basic and Train installation for the IMS department for a term of 1 year and an amount not to exceed $30,609.
Move the item.
Second.
Hey, good afternoon.
Well,
Is-
maybe you could just explain
Yeah,
what
yeah.
this is about?
Can you turn on the mic? It's the right side.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. RMS Desktop is a piece of software that is vended by Mantissa Corporation. And what it is a report management software. What it allows us to do is it allows us to eliminate the printing of hard copies of certain reports and to archive those reports for distribution. So it's a very efficient piece of software that will allow us to save money and cut out a lot of the manual processes that are associated with report distribution. Before the implementation of RMS Desktop, we were generating mainframe reports that required stacks and stacks of paper to be distributed to certain departments. And also the reprinting of those reports when they were misplaced or had to be redistributed. RMS Desktop will allow us to archive those and put those in electronic form for distribution. Also, we can store multiple iterations of those reports without having to print them. So the end user will have access to that data and the reports anytime they're needed.
Madam Pro Tem?
Yes. Thank you. I just have one question. This particular resource will strictly be used for IMS, or would this be all end users, or?
It is implemented by IMS, but it's for all users. So,
This is software we already have, we're just renewing the
Okay.
license.
right, renewing the license.
Thank you.
Councilor Abbott?
Yeah, just one question. So the RMS Desktop Archive Manager, RMS Spool Light, and RMS Basic and Training Installation, these are all things you already have and you're already using. But I heard you say the words mainframe, and I thought, we've been told so many times that that mainframe was gone or going.
It's currently being migrated to a server. So yes, we're trying to fully get rid of the mainframe, but it still is a process.
So we need to have a big celebration at City Hall, and we need to take it out in the middle of the street and blow it up or something, you know, for drama and excitement, and have some food trucks come.
Councilor Abbott says she's buying the
We'll
cupcakes.
let you push the button.
Pushing the button and making it go black, but anyway.
RMS Desktop houses the reports that have been created in the past. All of your old mainframe reports are out there.
Gosh.
Okay, so RMS Desktop Archive Manager will be needed way into the future to simulate the mainframe that we've blown up, right?
Well, until no one needs to access those reports.
Which could be 100 years.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that answers my question. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you have anything?
Yes, so got a call from Joseph Bryant earlier today asking me, you know, since we're talking about the mainframe, apparently there's a issue with the city's system related to being able to track municipal liens on properties. So I don't have full access to the article that he wrote last week because it's behind one of AL.com's paywalls. But while we're talking about the mainframe, you know, that was something that was brought up to me that, and it somehow or another relates to this mainframe. And I thought we had approved an item.
Yes, the item was to help us get off the mainframe and move it to the cloud.
Didn't we already vote on that?
Yes,
Yeah, that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's on the order of $400 $60,000 something dollars.
Yes, that sounds about right, yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I told him. I thought we had already taken care of that. Just wanted to make sure that that wasn't coming back to us. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Councilman Abbott, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Was there a motion? Okay, there was a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. The item passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is item number 20. That's an ordinance approving and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for sale of real estate between Louise Brown and the city of Birmingham, under which the city will purchase the property located at 1431 30th Street North, Birmingham, Alabama 35211 for a purchase price of $562,000.
Move the
I
item.
move approval.
Second.
Hi, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Cornell Wesley, I proudly serve as the Director for the Department of Innovation and Economic Opportunity. So, Council Founders Houses are dedicated spaces in cities like New York, Atlanta, San Francisco, Nashville, Austin, and what they do, they offer co-working spaces and collaboration opportunities. Founders Houses are specialized spaces that provide tech entrepreneurs with, again, co-working facilities, including temporary residences and areas for collaboration and recruitment. So in effect, a Founders House is a recruitment tool for many cities across the country. What differentiates this proposed acquisition from programs like what's happening at Innovation Depot or even at NextTech is that this space will be specifically targeted for our burgeoning and growing tech ecosystem and will serve as a place for those sorts of collisions and recruitment efforts to take place. This particular property is located in Norwood, in a community that we want to continue to see thrive and return to its historical vibrance. And what better way to help spur that growth than the city itself having a small presence in it as a recruitment tool for our tech entrepreneurs who will be coming into our community. I'm joined this evening by Dion Gordon, who is the CEO of Tech Birmingham, and upon your, not assumed, but hopeful support, this will also be the office space for Tech Birmingham. And so they will move out of Innovation Depot and will be able to operate full-time in this space, programming it, activating it, and walking with the city's respective departments as it relates to their recruitment efforts, specifically to the tech ecosystem. Dion, can you share some of the things about programming?
Not at all. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you all. Just wanted to kind of plant some seeds about the genesis of this. So we had the opportunity, well, it was earlier this year, as a matter of fact, to go over to Austin for South by Southwest. I don't want to take it for granted that everybody's familiar with that, but it is one of the largest, probably the largest technology and innovation gathering in the nation. Well over 100,000. I'm probably lowballing that, individuals in technology from all across the nation and the globe. And we had an event there called Birmingham House, where we literally invited everybody that was in Austin for that particular week to come and experience what it was that we were trying to build in the ecosystem. Because if you go outside of Birmingham and you talk to people in Austin, New York, San Francisco, they have no clue what it is that we're building down here. And so the idea or the theory was that if it's hard to get them to come to Birmingham, we'll take Birmingham to them. And as Cornell mentioned, like having a space, and it was a beautiful restored house, created a lot of collisions that are reaping benefits now. Venture capitalists are coming over to Birmingham. We actually had a number of them that we met at the house speak at SLOSS-Tech. And so we saw how transformative and catalytic that house was for Austin's ecosystem. And so it made sense for us to start having conversations about what it would look like for us to have a comparable asset right here in Birmingham. And again, as Cornell mentioned, the unique twist is that it's going to be directly embedded in the community. And so one of the programs that could come out of that is literally just having hackathons, taking people who are in innovation, technology, STEM-related disciplines, and connecting them intentionally with members of the community. The idea being that those who are closest to the problem or the solution or the opportunity are also closest to the solution. And so you might have an ideal, a workable, viable idea about what could happen and take place in the neighborhood, but if you don't have the technical skills to translate that into an app, into a website, it could very well die on the vine. And so we want to create those collisions to happen in a way that is accessible, where literally somebody in the community could walk to. And we've already seen the benefits of that. Some of you all might recall back in 2017, UAB hosted a hackathon that I think was at the former AL.com headquarters, as a matter of fact. And literally the idea was to bring people who were proficient in technology and STEM-related disciplines and pair them up with people from the community. And from that came the prototype of the land bank being accessible online. Because before that, it was a slog. You all probably familiar with what you had to do to find out what properties were tax delinquent. And so just getting people who are proficient in both domains together led to something that now is a viable asset for the community. So that's one of the things that we want to recreate with this house. And also it gives us an opportunity to offer soft landings. And so what I mean by that, if I am a startup founder, my job is literally to put my head down, nose to the grindstone, and figure out how do I get from 0 to 1. I am working a lot, I'm trying to hire folks, I'm trying to move fast, and I don't really have a lot of time to figure out what apartment or what neighborhood or where I need to be. And so if we already have spaces like that to provide a soft landing for that founder while they are grinding it out for 2 to 3 months, that's another asset that separates Birmingham from a lot of other near and peer cities. And the good thing is that we already have data that demonstrates the impact of this. We have to look no farther than an initiative called Be Home. And this was the idea of Venture for America Fellows. And Venture for America is a similar model like Teach for America. Best and brightest across the nation. They come to different cities that would normally be overlooked by these graduates, and they stay there for 2 years to offer their time and their talents. Birmingham, and unfortunately VFA folded, but Birmingham still has one of the strongest outposts of Venture for America. And also, it was one of the top cities in terms of retention after the 2 years. So put another way, after 2 years, they could go anywhere. Their stint was done. A number of them decided to stay in Birmingham, one of the highest percentages compared to some of the other cities that had VFA outposts. And so they came together and created a home where they all stay as well, or a number of them, not all of them, but a number of them stay as well. And so again, we could take that concept about having people come together, creating community, creating collisions, but bring that to an area like Norwood.
That was great. Okay. Council Abbott.
So this is a residence,
That is correct.
and it is zoned residential, or is this a commercial
It is zoned residential.
zoned how?
It is currently zoned residential.
So is this going to require a rezoning? And it won't be a spot zoning, I certainly hope.
That would be a question that we will work with our zoning department to determine. As we understand it today, based upon the proposed use, there wouldn't be a conflict, but we would most certainly have zoning answer that specifically.
Seems like it would be a good idea to do that first, before we purchase the house. Just seems that way to me. So the concept of this is that these tech entrepreneurs would move into the house, and therefore they wouldn't have to leave when they went to do their tech work.
Well, it's a bit broader than that. And again, back to the original point, the soft landing spot, the residential component, that is specific to 1 or 2 entrepreneurs, which is why the proposed use currently, as stated, is not necessarily in conflict with this current zoning. What it's meant to do, other than also have that soft landing spot, is to create these collisions of impact, like the hackathons, like hosting our tech entrepreneurs that were recruitment, like even receptions or private recruitment efforts in intimate settings. This, again, would fulfill those specific needs to that specific industry.
So how many people would be coming to this place in the middle of a neighborhood?
Well, we hope to be able to attract as many founders as we can to collaborate and create these sorts of experiences. Now, granted, obviously, 20 people can't live in a house, and it's not designed for that. Again, it is designed as a soft landing space for 1 or 2 entrepreneurs. Meanwhile, we have Tech Birmingham, who will locate in the space, operate from it in somewhat of a work-from-home model, if you will, and ensure that the things that are hosted there are married to the industry we're trying to attract.
What did the neighborhood association say about this?
They have not provided any comment, and it has not been before the neighborhood association at this point.
So unless they're watching us on TV, they won't even know this is happening in their neighborhood, will they?
So Councilor Abbott, we hear you. I think we do need to take your advisement and get zoning, recommendation on this piece of property. So, can we get it delayed for at least 2 weeks?
Well, let's have Madam Pro Tem ask any questions she would like first, and then we'll delay it 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, my question was gonna be the same as Mrs. Abbott about the zoning. And then I wrote down soft landing, but I was trying to get from the concept, are people living in here and these are your entrepreneurs that are building a business? Or you said it's like a work from home model? So is it designed for someone to live in there?
It's several uses. One, again, foundationally, Tech Birmingham will operate. In terms of the living quarter piece, there will be, that particular piece will be programmed, so it is not open for all. So in theory, this would be an entrepreneur who has committed to be in Birmingham, but needs temporary residence while they search for their permanent place. So that, in effect, is not creating someone to be there 6, 12 months. That is not what the goal would be.
And then it would also be the headquarters for
That
your
is correct.
business. You're moving out of Innovation Depot into.
Correct. And it's just 3 employees and most work remote.
Okay. My caution or concern is with what is the current zoning? And it seems like we're kind of going backwards, because I looked it up and it looked like a house that's right in a residential neighborhood.
That's correct.
So I just wonder, what would the residents or the neighborhood association think about this? So I would like to just get more information about what that process would be like, if we, and would
Her loud and
move
clear.
for a delay as well.
So you would like for us to speak with the neighborhood and association and confirm the zoning uses?
No, I got
Not
you.
necessarily.
Okay, we'll talk.
Yeah, well, Mr. President, I'll let him speak first. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I would just, this is a very pertinent issue for the council at the moment, with the whole consideration of short-term rental zoning.
Sure.
And,
Yes, sir.
What's a residence and what's a, business.
Business.
So I think, there has been a tremendous amount of public input on just the short-term rental issue. And so I feel like the council has a lot of sensitivity to especially single-family residential neighborhoods' concerns about, having a business next to them. Now, if it's strictly residential use, that's kind of in a different category, but just, this is a hot issue right now.
Understood.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd love to know the background of it, because this seems about as strange as a proposal as I've ever heard, to put something in a residence in the middle of someone's neighborhood that's really a business, and then we hear they want to have events there. So it'll be an event center, which means that the parking will become an issue, the noise will become an issue. We have to remember that our residents, they should be number one. I don't see that it happens that way in this city, but the residents should be number one, our number one issue, our number one priority. And this just is very, very, very odd to me. And the price of the property is pretty amazing. It must have had a lot of work done. But anyway, I'm not feeling good about this, so
Hold on
I
one
just would
second.
like to hear more. And I'm sure that PEP has some wonderful zoning plans for the north side because they certainly have some interesting ones for the south side. So, maybe the zoning won't even matter because it may be all zone business before we get through. But as long as it's got people living in it, we need to protect it.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what I'm looking at now is actually the one in Silicon Valley. I was looking through the website and the frequently asked questions. I was kind of going where Mr. President was going about being Airbnb because I saw that the check-in, check-out time, it's actually pretty affordable per night here. And I get the concept of what you're trying to do, attracting young entrepreneurs there. Instead of having to be in a hotel for months, they can just have a working environment there. But I think the zoning is what concerns me as well. Not saying I think it's a good idea, but we just want to make sure we have all of our I's
Heard loud and clear.
dotted and T's, because we don't want any backfire from that. So,
Absolutely.
okay, well, is there a motion for a 2-week delay?
I move for a 2-week delay.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's been approved. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is item number 23. This is for the application of a grant. To apply for a grant, execute and deliver an agreement, all required documents to the U.S. Department of Transportation for the FY 23 to 26 Bridge Investment Program Planning and Bridge Grant for Bridge Projects Alabama Industrial Road and Bridge Program, and to accept grant fund disbursement to the city for the purpose of repairing and, it's supposed to say and replacing 11 bridges across the city. The funding request is $5 million with a $1 million 20% match required from the city.
Move the item.
Second.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Christine Argo. I serve as the Deputy Director in the Department of Transportation. I am pinch hitting today for this item, so if you guys have specific questions, I will try my best to answer them today.
I have one real quick. So these are for all the bridges that we're trying to?
What's
Yeah,
the
it's,
attachment?
It says
we have?
11.
so let me try and jump in too, because I think from what was explained to me, yes, it's for all the bridges that are in Birmingham, which is, I don't think it's that many underpasses and bridges. I think it was around 20.
And it will be a phased program,
Yeah.
so like this funding covers repairs and replacements for 5, and then after we get through with these bridges, we'll go back and apply for more money and continue the process through all of the bridges that need work done.
Which 5 bridges?
Do they have this?
They should have. I'm checking their attachments.
Okay, so Lawson Road and 5 Mile Creek, 5th Avenue North Tunnel under the old terminal station site, Green Springs Avenue, West Boulevard and Village Creek at the golf course, and 2nd Avenue North and 6th Street. Those are the 5 in this round of funding.
Okay. You said the golf course?
That's what it says, Village Creek at Golf Course. Was
that the
adjacent
one-
to the public golf course. Was
Is that
that,
the one at Germania Park leading towards Jefferson Avenue?
This one may be Roebuck Hawkins Park.
Oh, Roebuck. Okay.
okay, yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
okay.
Okay. All right, Council Abbott.
A bridge at Roebuck Hawkins Park?
Yeah, I think it's a bridge that's it's on a cart path.
It's
A cart path bridge?
a small bridge.
It's a very small bridge.
We're replacing an existing culvert with a small bridge, 32 linear feet wide, 5 linear feet under clearance is what this says.
It
so.
doesn't say which hole it is.
No, it doesn't. We'll get you the, because it's
We
not
can
in.
find out. I
Need
mean,
to go play the
Yes.
course.
We did not play there almost my whole life, so I'm trying
So
to see which
the
word.
list is not in your package, but we'll
Okay.
make sure that we send it out so you can know exactly where these bridges are.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so the item says we're replacing and repairing 11 bridges, so maybe you could just give us the whole
ma'am.
list at one time
Yes, ma'am.
and let us know if any more are for golf carts, which I just think is kind of a hoot.
No, not if you fall in. Sue
Yeah.
the city.
Probably not. Okay, so this is a $5 million request for only 5 bridges, or is this for all 11?
Good. It's for 5.
5 bridges. The estimates came back higher than anticipated.
That seems normal.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 bridges for $5 million with a $1 million match from the city, so we've got $6 million to spend, right?
Yes.
Right,
Correct.
for 6 bridges.
5 bridges.
5 bridge, yeah, oh yeah, excuse me, 6 million for 5 bridges, one of which is in a golf course. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you. I know you're gonna give us the full list, but I did not get the 5th name of the bridge that you gave us.
Second Avenue North and 6th Street. It's also another small bridge. It's protection from flooding, improving the waterway and the water conveyance system.
So the wording on the resolution, instead of 11, is actually 5, or will we keep it at 11 because we expect to get more money?
Yeah, it's like she said, Ms. Argo said it was a phased approach. So this is one of the many, we'll go after we coming on 65 south and get off of Green Springs Avenue. You make that right. That's that bridge.
Okay.
Over the railroad tracks?
Yeah,
Yes.
over the railroad tracks, yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're replacing some retaining walls and protecting the slope there.
I'm just curious about the other 6 bridges. Do you know, or we're still trying to identify?
I don't have that list with me, but we could certainly get it to you.
Okay, I'm just interested.
Yeah.
We'll just, how about we just give you all the bridges so you can see them?
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Okay, well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye, the item passes. Thank you.
I abstain.
Okay, one abstention from Counselor Abbott. Okay, item number 28, I feel like that's gonna take a while, but item number 28, this is a public transportation services agreement between the BJCTA, Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority, and the city, under which the BJCTA will provide public transportation services as part of a transit system to include fixed route and demand response paratransit services and bus rapid transit BRT services within the city limits for an amount not to exceed 14 million, which compensation is comprised of 11 million for fixed route and paratransit services and 3 million for BRT services.
Second.
Okay. Y'all can come on up.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We have some things to pass out. So, what you have that we're passing out right now, and it's always a pleasure to come and speak before you, considering the type of progress that we have made over the last 3 years. This is not the strategic plan, but this is our strategic initiatives. Our strategic plan is in the final stages of the draft. We just got back the last comments in from Department of Transportation, James Fowler. But what you have before you, we wanted to make sure that we gave out something to our stakeholders just to show the type of major initiatives that we have for the new FY fiscal year. Our budget was just approved with the 14 million staying steady. Of course, we would have liked to seen a little bit more money this year, but for the new fiscal year, but we're happy with staying, pretty still at 14 million. And my chief financial officer will go over the budget with you. But we just won, I don't know if you heard, from the APTA Association, which is the National Transit Association. We won the Public Agency of the Year for 3 million passengers or less. And that's a pretty big deal nationally. You compete with all the industries, and we got quite a standing clap when we were there because everybody know kind of where Birmingham has come from. So we've come a long way, yet have some things to do, some more plans to make in terms of our redesign. But in this book, you'll hear a little bit about the 70-30 plan, which is what we're instituting now with our new upcoming mobile integration application, our new fare collection application. We also saw a 207% increase in the BRT since its inception. So it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. Microtransit is growing at 37%. And that includes the east, the downtown area, daytime services, and the nighttime services that we at MAX started its microtransit around last part of last quarter. And we are now in a very good partnership with VIA. And actually VIA was mandated to run the east, but now MAX is running the east completely. VIA's not even on the east, so we're covering that service. And the only thing that VIA covers right now is your downtown daytime service. So we're also, and they do the nighttime service. And we do the expanded service in the evening with VIA. So the partnership is great. We're looking to be able to get VIA on our side of the house so we can mix their plan with our plan as part of the new 70-30. And the new 70-30 is the redesign, including 70% fixed route services and 30% microtransit on-demand services. So you won't see as many big buses anymore with 1 or 2 or 3 people. We're actually redesigning and reallocating our bus system to work in conjunction with microtransit. So before Glenn gets started, is there any questions about the services?
Gotcha, okay. Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you for bringing us this information, and I look forward to what Mr. Dickerson is going to share with us. I do have a question about the 30% on demand. I know that primarily it's east, or what is the saturation in the western side of Birmingham, or any plans for that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of the strategic plan, is to show you how we plan to expand. Right now, there's part-time microtransit in everybody's district.
Okay.
At least some part-time services. If some districts have full-time service. But the plan in 26 is to have all these contiguous boundaries melted together where microtransit is crossing municipalities.
Okay, thank you. And one of the reasons I asked, some of my residents are affected when there's a smaller city that is between or runs, parallel to Birmingham, and so they can get bus service one way, but they can't get it the other way because of that particular city isn't a part of it. So would they be, at this expansion occurs then, would that on-demand service sort of be there? It's near Roosevelt, and that's why I asked. I know you have some familiarity with that. But that's what I'm just wondering. Are you looking at those type, once we get into this, is that those the type uses you're looking for as well, when you have residents that may be impacted like that?
The goal is to connect all of the cities.
Okay.
Right, because the services have been choppy, and that's been the problem in getting more people to use the system. So what we're trying to do is find those pockets of areas that are either without service or the service is choppy, where a bus service goes in twice a day and twice in the evening. So to reallocate all of that, that's why we're doing the 70-30 plan to supplement that microtransit, and we're looking at all those areas.
Okay,
And of course, it's all going to depend on budget. Now, we are working with our state legislators and looking in this fiscal year as well. We're having meetings to discuss additional state funding to help us with these services.
I was going to mention, we did have a meeting with the Alabama League of Municipalities, and one of the advocacy groups, one of the recommendations was to get state funding of public transportation. So that was one of the items they wanted to push forward out of the League of Municipalities, so.
And that's
great.
actually in our booklet. So we have some activities coming up, some receptions and some meetings that we're having those discussions.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm actually the chairperson leading the State of Alabama Committee for the Steering Committee for state funding.
Thank you, and congratulations on the honor that you all received. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll let Glenn, if there are no other
Wait
service
a minute,
questions.
Counselor Abbott, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a number of handicapped individuals who don't have internet service, or the blind ones can't see it anyway. So is VIA coming to everyone's neighborhoods or only certain neighborhoods?
Just certain neighborhoods right now. So there's a difference between Max On Demand and VIA and our paratransit services. If they are physically challenged in some way, they can opt either into the Max service, but we prefer them to opt into paratransit because we have all of the ADA vehicles and they can actually reserve their rides and be picked up and then dropped off. Now, if they do call our Max On Demand services, we will send out those reservation services, but we prefer them on paratransit because through FTA, we actually get paid per ride. And there's a difference in price for paratransit vehicles than there are for Max Transit. So we really don't want the Max Transit to become those vehicles like paratransit since we already have a separate paratransit service. So all they have to do is go in and qualify for that service as long as it's within our service area.
Okay, and that is, I know it's not 24/7. What kind of coverage do you have?
It runs through the hours of the service. It's from early 5 a.m. to around 11 p.m. So it runs pretty much all day.
And on weekends?
It runs on weekends. Saturday. We have no Sunday services right now. I like to see that change, but that's gonna be very dependent upon additional budget.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure.
How much would it cost for Sunday services?
To add that, you want to give that number?
Even if it's just.
We
one
estimated about,
I'd say probably about $5 million.
yeah, that's 5, yeah, just for Sunday though.
Right, yes.
But, and that's not running it, that's still running a weekend schedule. So if we were to run a all-day schedule, you're looking at about $10 million.
What's the weekend schedule again?
It's like a holiday schedule. It runs periodic. It doesn't run the regular service and the hitways we have during the day.
Gotcha.
So your wait time may be a little longer on weekends than it would be during the day, with the exception of the BRT. The BRT still runs in 15-minute intervals during peak and 30 minutes during non-peak.
Okay, gotcha. President O'Quinn, do you have anything?
Did you say the BJCTA is operating the East On-Demand Microtransit zone?
Yes, sir.
When did that happen?
Well, we wanted to get an experience through VIA. Now, they're working with us. They started off running the service, right? They're continuing that, but because we wanted to get in practice and work, because we're using the VIA software as a pilot software right now, but because we wanted to get in practice, we had these vans available to run that service. So we've been doing that about, how long we been doing it? About 5 months now. And they're continuing to support us of course, they're doing all the downtown services. So they just put the extra vans on the downtown services. That's why the wait times for Max Transit or Max Microtransit and VIA, it's around 7 minutes, but that's fairly quick. We don't really want to see 7 minutes of wait time on microtransit. You want to see about 15 minutes, right? Similar to the BRT. Anything less than that, you know, the citizens and the riders can get really used to those quick turnaround times. And as soon as your ridership goes up, that's going to expand out to about 15, 20 minutes. So we want to set the bar for about 15 minutes.
Okay. Then also separately, remind me of where BJCTA's budget is currently. Like, what's your total annual budget, and what are the different revenue sources?
So we'll let,
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Glenn Dickerson. I serve as the Chief Financial Officer. Our total budget is $60 million. 41 is related to operations and about 17 million related to capital projects. What was the other question, Councilor Quinn?
the revenue source.
Oh, the revenue source, of course. Well, most of our revenue sources come from governmental sources. We only earn about 5% on our own, $2 million from fares, and we get a small amount from rental income and some commissions from Coca-Cola and other sources that we earn at our site. I'll just go through those for you. $2 million from farebox revenues. From local municipalities that we serve, it's about 16.6 million. Avalon taxes from Jefferson County, 3.4. Avalon taxes from the city of Birmingham, 4.9. We get some investment income, of course. It's not much, only $255,000 from cash that we invest. Commissions I talked about, only $62,000. That's commissions from Coca-Cola and other vending machines on site. We get advertising revenue from advertising on buses, about $220,000, and rental income from Greyhound, Amtrak, and Olivia's, who rent space at our facility. That's about $112,000. We get Jefferson County tax revenue, $2 million, and $2 million from beer tax. And from the federal government, in total, we get about $27 million. And that includes proportions that we get and reimbursements, monies. When we spend money for capital projects, we're reimbursed at the tune of about 80%. So in total, that's about $60 million. And again, I said that 41 million would be spent on operations and about 18 million on capital.
Okay. How many municipalities is BJCTA contracted with?
Yeah, we're contracted 10, Birmingham being the largest. We get about 86% of funding from the city of Birmingham, and that's the $14 million in your budget. The other cities give us about $2.6 million in total.
Okay. I think that's all I got for right now.
Okay. Is there anything else you have for us?
Is that it?
And just that when we think about the capital, so because of the infrastructure law over the last several years, you know that money is going to be running out in 26, but what you're seeing an increase on the capital side is due to that infrastructure apportionments coming in for about 25, 27% more.
Okay.
And that's going to stop in 26, maybe 25. We have to see.
What? Yes, Council Abbott.
Just one question, the 86%,
Right.
86% was 86%?
86% of 16 million. So your 14 million is 86% of 16 million, which all the cities will give us. So when you look at Birmingham, Homewood, Bessemer, Midfield, Centerpoint, Mountain Brook, Tarrant, Hoover, and Vestavia Hills, combined, they give us about 2.6, and the city of Birmingham has given us 14 million.
And all the services end and stop in Birmingham.
Right. And that allocation is based on allocating the 16 million based on the time we spend in each city. So we spend about 86% of our routes in Birmingham. So Birmingham gets to pay us 86% of the revenue that we are required to get from the cities. And that's based on the enabling legislation that we're governed by.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I know, President O'Quinn, you had some additional comments and concerns you'd like to address at Transportation Committee?
Yeah, we actually didn't take it up at Transportation Committee meeting today. You know, in part because I knew it was going to be discussed at Budget and Finance, but I think we would like to have an opportunity to look at the language of the agreement and make sure that our expectations are, you know, kind of spelled out more clearly in the agreement. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's okay with the committee, we can defer it to Transportation Committee? Is that Council Abbott?
When was your meeting? You had a meeting scheduled today, or do you have one coming up this week?
Yeah, we had one today. So, you know, we would like to have a crack at looking at the agreement and, you know, tweaking some of the language there before it goes to full council consideration. That's not to say that, you know, you all can't deal with it here in Budget and Finance. We would just like to look at it in Transportation as well. So I guess what I'm saying is that before it goes to the full council, the language of the agreement may change slightly. That doesn't have, I don't anticipate the Transportation Committee recommending any sort of change to the amount. It's just things related to, you know, spelling out the deliverables in the agreement and, you know, maybe clarifying some of the language with respect to the reporting. But there's the amount, I think is fine.
So, Madam Chair, I just want to give a little bit more clarity. As President O'Quinn said, the administration and BDOT will work with his committee to change any necessary language. The dollar amount will still remain the exact same. I think we are in total agreement that some type of deliverables need to be spelled out in the agreement that's not in there right now. I think would be the best route, even if you wanted to give a recommendation from BNF and working with transportation and our BDOT team, any substantial language change, we'll notify the committee and just say, hey, this is what was agreed upon, and hopefully get some type of recommendation from transportation before it's sent to the full council for full review.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So, what are y'all's thoughts? You want to vote for it now, or?
What's the time frame in your review, or would that be reported back to us?
That's pretty soon. From our conversations, I don't know a time certain, but I know that the system needs the funds to maintain and operate, so we'll try to do it as quickly as possible.
So do you think
I don't.
2-week delay?
So the next scheduled meeting for the Transportation Infrastructure Committee is the 28th. I don't anticipate it going any longer than that. So hopefully we can, you know, have it worked out.
Is it the same date as our next Budget and Finance?
Yes.
Right.
So then,
we could just delay it 2 weeks? Okay. Are you okay with?
Can I just add
Yes.
something?
Yes.
So we're already 3 months behind in payment, which the cash flow helps with the redesign of the system. This is the first time we've heard about any expectations to the new contract. So if you could, let us know what they are in advance so we can address them. But we would like to get payment for the past payments that we have not received. That would help with our cash flow, because things are getting tight for us.
So,
You know, Chief Mitchell, I think we have to have an agreement in place in order to make those payments.
Yeah, that's correct. Based on the schedule, if we have it on the 28th, we can have it on the council by the 29th of October.
okay.
If we pass it today.
Yes, ma'am. You can also bring it back before, because you have a set meeting already on the 28th.
We can delay it 2 weeks.
We can, but is there really a point in delaying it? Because I'm pretty sure we're going to give them $14 million, and if we are 3 months late, that's embarrassing to me personally, and I didn't have anything to do with it. And it should not affect what you're doing, because we know we're going to provide the funding, we just have maybe some different tweaks to the contract, but the money is coming. So
Right.
my feeling is we ought to pass it now, because we know we're gonna do it. Okay,
That's fine, whoever's the pleasure of this committee.
Let's do it since we're late.
Yeah.
And we don't want the buses to stop, we don't want people not to get paid, we don't want any bad stuff to happen,
You're right.
especially since we know who'll get blamed. So, my preference personally would be for us to go ahead and approve the funding, and then the Transportation Committee can make its recommendation to us, and then we'll all sing Kumbaya.
Okay, kumbaya, all right. Well,
For
Madam
those who
Pro Tem.
can sing.
I'm okay with that. I know in the past, there's been such emphasis on what is before us and what's being approved. I'm fine with it. I want to see them get their money and get paid, but
We're not approving
we're
the
not
contract,
approving
the final
the
contract.
final contract, what's not being presented to us. So I'm okay with giving it so they can get their money, but I just,
We can always do a
We've done this
special
before.
called, meeting if need be.
Good with that, but I just don't want us to hurt the bus
Correct.
system,
Yeah.
because we're the ones who are late. They aren't late. So it's on us.
when does this come back? When is it on our agenda? I haven't looked at,
It wasn't a set time, because we were trying to go through
Okay.
both committee
Not tomorrow.
processes.
okay, so it's not tomorrow. I'm okay with approving it. I just wanted to say, if we can have some of this thought when things come before us in the future. Because I really recognize you all are just caught up in something that we, as process or as policy, we've always wanted to have it written or before us in a way. Yeah, but I'm good with approving it, because I don't want to see anyone delay any transportation based on this.
Well, I guess we're not really approving the
Approving it.
contract, though. We're just approving.
The amount of money.
The
Which is
funding,
I'm
the
good with that.
amount, really.
Okay,
good
we
with
can
that.
make it the motion to say that. Okay. Well, do we need to redo our motion?
Because really all they're asking is, this was before us right now is the $14 million technically. So what we're approving is to give them the $14 million.
Okay.
I stand with the first motion.
Okay, all right. Well, there's been, are you good, Mr. President?
Yeah, the only other thing that I would say is, I wasn't aware that the agreement was coming forward until it got submitted last week. So, that's kind of why we are where we are. It's, would have been glad to give BJCTA a heads up, but I only found out that it was going to come to the council last week, so.
Okay,
I'm
that's
good
fine.
with it.
Well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The item passes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next item is item number 29. This is a lease purchase agreement between Edward B. Lumpkin Jr. and the city of Birmingham under which Edward will rent and lease with the right to purchase space totaling approximately 109,882 square feet of certain property known as the former Buffalo Rock Building, located at 34 West Oxmoor Road, 35209, for the sole purpose of conducting business operations related to the City of Birmingham Fire and Police Department activities, the quote-unquote, the project for a term of 6 months, commencing this month, October 2024, ending on April 30th, 2025, an amount of $45,000 per month. The City of Birmingham is hereby given the option to purchase the leased premises at any time for a purchase price of $7 million.
Move the item.
Second.
Okay.
Good evening.
Evening.
Cornell Wesley, serve as the Director for the Department of Innovation and Economic Opportunity. What's before you is a real estate purchase agreement on behalf of Birmingham Fire as well as our police department to co-locate their training and other operational facilities in this space. It is a lease purchase option so that they can get and take the space as fast as possible, and also to not put a $7 million burden on the city today. And so we've been successfully able to negotiate favorable, what we would view as some favorable terms that gives us some space and grace to operate while also accomplishing the immediate need from both police and fire. I'm joined today by both of our chiefs who can speak to the specific uses of the site and how this will benefit their operations.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Corey Moon, I serve as the Fire Chief of Birmingham Fire and Rescue Service. And for us, this facility will work as our logistics warehouse and also our training facility. So it'll be a dual purpose for us at Birmingham Fire and Rescue.
Okay. Chief Thurman.
Good afternoon, Scott Thurman, Service Chief of Police, Birmingham Police Department. So for us, this would be where we house our tactical equipment, vehicles, also seizures of narcotics vehicles, also some other equipment that we've seized as well.
Okay. Madam Pro Tem.
Yes, very familiar with this building. Of course, it's in D7, so I'm excited for that. This building also houses, it has some warehouse and that type capability. I see this is 109,000 square feet. One question, would this eliminate some other rental spaces that you have? Looking at you, Chief, because I know you're over there at Mazers. So how does this compare to, does this consolidate us all into one building?
Yes, ma'am. This would consolidate us all in one building. So there's about 27,000 square feet of office space and another 85,000 square feet of warehouse space, and it would put us all in one facility.
Okay.
So, Madam, just to add a little bit more to them, so we were afforded, you know, we had property at the Mazers that we were co-leasing with the Mazers property. One of the buildings that we leased with Mazer ended, and so we were in the same space trying to find a solution for both Birmingham Fire and Rescue and for BPD. So this kind of solves that space that we lost, and now we're gaining even more space.
Okay, perfect. And one other thing about the lease purchase agreement. So the total purchase price is $7 million?
That's correct.
Okay.
And it will be paid over, Mr. Attorney Foster. The payment term.
Payment terms will be, over the next 6 years, will be one payment yearly. One payment yearly.
And are there any renovations or anything you have to do in order to get in there? Or, because I don't know how long the building, they moved into the new area maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, there are some small renovations that will need to take place to accommodate the appropriate heights that are needed.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to ask if anybody else has any questions. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so is that 110,000 square feet under roof? And what's
Yes.
the total, what's the size of the site?
I'm not entirely sure what the total size of the site is. I believe we may have that.
I think it's in the
let me just get to the real question. You know, there's been various conversations, over the years about, you know, modernizing the police departments. You know, they're in an old building, headquartered in an old building, that, you know, may not work, ideally for them, but, you know, there's also, it's downtown property, so there's been some interest there. So, and honestly, I couldn't even tell you where Birmingham Fire and Rescue is headquartered. I should know that, but I don't know.
Fire
So-
Station 1.
What's that?
Fire Station 1.
Okay, all right, okay, makes sense. And that's in District 5, so I should know this. Anyway, thank you for your service. But in any case, you know, that's what I'm thinking is like, you know, I know there's some ideas about the Sixth Avenue site long-term. So this might give us a pathway, to, you know, accomplish some things that we want to do relative to that property, but yeah, so it's exciting. So, again, do you have a size on the site?
Yes, it is 8.7 acres, and again, 109,000 square feet.
Under roof, and is that all, what's the mix of the, space? Is it all warehouse, or is there office there as well?
So there's 24,857 square feet of office space and 85,025 square feet of warehouse space.
Okay, great.
Are there any additional questions?
I didn't understand how many acres you said. Did you say 8.4?
Yes, it was 8.7, I believe, 8.7.
8.7. So I drive past that location periodically, and it has a lot of grass that has to be cut. Will that be something that Public Works will do for us?
We'll have to look into it,
We're gonna-
because
A herd of goats, or?
we can try to my goat, actually. Why not? But we'll look at that and see. We didn't think about that. I apologize. Our mind was basically on getting it and understanding utility costs, so we didn't see the actual maintenance care on the outside when it comes to that.
Well, and there's some there's some wooded property behind it, but there's also a railroad track, you know, out there in the woods somewhere. So I just wondered if there was any property that we might expand into if the police department, you know, if you seize a whole fleet of vehicles, you know, if there would be room for us to expand on that property.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Just wondering. So, but that's all. I think this sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. It's better than it's being vacant, so, I think there was some, hold on, the amount on here is 45,000. Does it need to say per month in the amount?
It should, yeah.
Okay, we'll make that a correction, that in the amount is supposed to say per month, 45,000 per month. Okay, well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye, the item passes. Thank you, gentlemen. And then our last one is item number 31. This is authorizing the mayor to execute and deliver an agreement with Central Alabama Redevelopment Alliance, under which Central Alabama shall coordinate and provide marketing and outreach support for public input sessions with community leaders through the Woodlawn Community Council and with business owners throughout the Woodlawn Business Association for a term ending on June 30th, 2025, for an amount not to exceed $25,000. Jeff?
Madam Chair, are there questions?
I'm sure it was about the funding source.
Explain what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, what's going on here?
To my knowledge, CARA is being secured to provide community garden initiatives, summer camps, food prep demonstrations, and health awareness. As the agreement states, this will be done in partnership
Gotcha, I thought so.
through the Woodlawn Community Council and the Woodlawn Business Association.
Is this discretionary from
Yes.
someone's
Yes.
account? Okay, that was the,
Oh,
that's what got us.
So, I thought so.
So whose discretionary is it?
Discretionary.
The person to your
Mine.
left.
District 5.
D5.
I just thought since he was here, he could listen to the discussion. I thought that was helpful.
I think it's a great idea, so, yeah. Hey. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Can we have a motion?
Move the item.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that item passes. We don't have any old and new business. Chief, question, when is, that presentation that was done to public safety, when is that coming to us? Is it supposed to come to us?
So technically, we're working on a funding source.
Okay,
So
I got you.
of course, we can't really submit anything to this committee without a funding source, so we're
Look,
working on
I
that.
didn't know, I just wanted to ask, you know.
It'll
I'd like to
be-
hear it
it'll-
twice.
No, it will be soon. I think we have located some ARPA funds that we'll be able to tap into.
Oh,
Perfect. Also, committee members, we need to approve the minutes.
Oh, yeah, that. They're only about 12 pages.
I move for approval. I was sneaking a peek during some of the presentations.
She's never led us astray. Well, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes from the last meeting have passed. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Move for adjournment.
All in favor say aye. Aye, that concludes our meeting. Thank you.